Hello everyone. Now you've probably played Pokemon before and had this issue come up on your GBA games or your Game Boy games won't save. Today I'm going to be showing you how to fix that. All you're going to need is your games, something to test it on. I'm just using a Game Boy Advance here so I can test the Advance Game 2. This key bit thing, it's a weird security screw. You don't actually need this, but it's definitely recommended. To open Game Boy games, you can use a flathead and slowly push it open. That's what I usually do. But my brother did have this, so I'm borrowing it for now. These are also all his games, because my games are already fixed, but I decided I showed this on video. You also would like a tri-wing screw. This is for the GBA games. Again, I think you can get away with using a flathead, but this one's even harder. Other than that, you need for the Game Boy games, you're going to be using a CR2025 battery. Those just stand for dimensions or whatever. And this is a CR1616 for GBA games. Theoretically, they can work for whatever, but the capacity is a big changer. Gen 1 games aren't going to eat up as much battery as a Gen 2 because there's no clock in the first games. I'm not sure about you. I don't think Yellow has any clock features, but I know Red and Blue definitely last longer. And this is just a flathead if you needed it. And this is optional, but this is to test the voltage of the batteries to make sure we're dead and good and stuff. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, I'm going to be starting out on Pokemon Yellow, so let me just unscrew this right here. Alright, the screw is now off, got it right here, and you can technically replace the screw with like a regular one if you really want, but I'm just going to keep it for now. And the way it comes off is it's going to slide the top off, alright? Kind of hard to do with one hand, I'll cut away. Let's go see the circuit board now. And this might be a little confusing to some people, but what this is this is someone who has tried to fix the battery before. Now this trick, you would do it with electrical tape. I think tinfoil would work as well, but anyway, what it does is it allows you to put a battery on here and replace. Alright, so I tested this battery just to make sure it is dead. On this, the voltage was extremely low. Button batteries are supposed to be around 3 volts, no matter the size. And my new one here is about 3.3. I'm assuming that's within margin of error. This was like freaking 0.002 or something. But anyway, they had this in here, a CR1616. We're going to be replacing it with our 2025 right here. The other pin already fell off here, but it doesn't matter because we have new ones. So what we're going to be doing now is heating up our solder and getting these off so we could put this in. Now my solder's heating up, I might as well mention this too. If you want to clean your board, if it's really dirty or it's not reading very well, you can easily do that right now. All you need is a Q-tip and some sort of cleaning solution. Like I typically just use like alcohol or ice, you know what I mean? Nothing too crazy. But you want to make sure that it's completely dry before you try testing it because you don't want to cause a short or anything. But very simple. Use one side of the Q-tip to clean it, the other side to dry. Simple as that. This board can also fall out, but I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's necessary. But let's get to the soldering portion. Alright, this isn't typically the angle I solder at, but I'm just doing this so you can see a little better. I mean, this is not the best filming situation, but anyway. Let's get to it. So what we're going to want to do is place our tip on the solder and melt it off. Now this is pretty beginner stuff. I'm practically an amateur, so this stuff is not that hard. As I say that. There we go. And it fell off. Let me get that off there. Come on. There we go. And we can remove some of this excess solder too. We don't need the plastic shell. Alright, now that catastrophe is done, let's put the battery in. So you want to make sure you line it up to the positive and negative. As you can see, there is a symbol there that's positive, negative. So you want to line that up. It'll be on the battery too. Positive is the top side. So we're going to line up the pins, place some more solder on, and make a point. I'm not going to try to record this because that was a pain in the ass last time. I had to fix my mistake down there. Alright. Alright, another tip, by the way, is make sure your pins are actually close to it, because I had to bend them a little bit more, because as you can see, the pin wasn't really close, because it's kind of flipped, and I'm like, wait, am I going the wrong way? But no, positive is positive, negative is negative. The pins are just kind of in a crappy spot, because it was set up for the other way around. But as you can see, I still got it. I bent the pin a little bit just so I could get in place, and it is soldered on. So now, we're going to plug it in, and we're going to test it. Closed up, I'm not going to screw it back just in case there's anything wrong. It does hold pretty well. So let's put it in the Game Boy Advance SP, turn it on, and let's see. Okay, game works, good. Just making sure I didn't do anything else wrong. Obviously, the battery changing is not going to mess up anything else. Obviously, if you had a save, it's gone, but the thing is, if your battery is dead, you had no save anyway. So let's test this baby. And I'll cut ahead to when I can save. Alright, so I'm in the game now. Let's hit up a save. I just name myself A. I see a new file. Now, there's a weird thing about batteries. I think when they have really little charge, or basically dead, it'll look like it worked if you turn it off and turn it back on immediately, because the charge is still kind of there. But to make sure it actually is a real save, because that tricked me before, where it's like, oh, is it actually working or is it not? Because sometimes it'll look like it's saving, but it's really not. So I'm going to take it out completely, give it a couple seconds, then turn it on. So, hey, continue works. Alright. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the GBA version of that, which, why am I holding tweezers? But the GBA version of that, which is not as important, but if you want time-based events, you got to do it. Let's go. Emerald, pretty simple. The tri-wing screw on the back slides off the same. So as you can see, this is a CR1616 battery. It looks like it's still the original, hasn't been replaced. And you might be thinking, oh, wait, 2002? This is a 2005 game. Well, the game is based on Ruby and Sapphire, which came out in 2003 in America and 2002 in Japan, so they're still using that 2002 board for Ruby and Sapphire, because it's basically the same game. But yeah, same process, just different battery, unsolder, line up your negative and positive. This one looks like negative goes up versus the positive of yellow. I will check this battery just to make sure if someone actually put this on wrong, possibly. Alright, so that was a pain in the ass. I got it off. Thankfully, it's over here. I'm assuming it was just the really good soldering job of the original that made it hard. But yeah, negative goes on top this time. Just follow the pins. Now, I'm going to try to use the same solder, because this solder seems to be really nice. I guess it's the official... I don't know what solder type it is, but it seems pretty nice. So I'm going to try to use the same one, just heat it up and push it down. And another tip for getting these off, when you're heating it up, try getting like a finger in there, like pushing it off while it's melting, because it's a pain in the ass. Obviously, be very careful, you don't want to burn yourself, but yeah, let's get to this. This solder job is done. This one was a lot easier to put on, actually, because it's just very simple. I had to use a lot more solder, obviously, but I still use some of the original. But yeah, let's go test this one now. It'll be a lot easier to test, because it'll simply say if the battery's dry or not. Alright, this is the moment of truth. Emerald is in the slot, working fine. I did have to clean off the pins a little bit. There was like some dust on it from, I guess, the solder. So make sure that's not an issue. Alright, press start, and hey, you saw right there. There was no signal for a time. Wow. Alright, yeah, this file doesn't have any flying Pokemon yet. It's pretty early, so I'm not going to go back to the hometown and check the clock, but you saw it works. But yeah, thanks for watching. That was just me having some fun fixing these games. If you learned anything, like and subscribe. Have a good one.